Oh my days. Lionel Messi does it again. 2 assists to lead Argentina for the comeback 2-1 over England and taking them to the World Cup final. What a game this was. An absolute dogfight. Just great fight, physical game from both teams here. Very, very different from what we saw yesterday in that Spain France game. And definitely something that, I think we're grateful as fans to be able to see such an intense game. Um, when I think about the game itself, I actually was initially impressed by Thomas Tuchel and his game plan to go out there and have the English players play very, very physical. We knew going into this game that the Argentinian players were going to be just so like almost ratty. They kick, they foul, they play strong. If you do something on them, they're gonna hit you right back. And Thomas Tuchel, I was impressed. He sort of said, you know what, with these referees that we've seen Argentina have at the World Cup, we're gonna have to do the exact same thing. And I think you saw that pretty well. And for that first, 55 minutes leading up to that English goal, you saw this English team do quite the good job of being just as physical, if not more at times, than the Argentina team. The midfield in particular, I was very impressed with the way that they were able to combat the likes of Fernandez and McAllister, who can just get so low and strong. Um, in moments. Uh, I also want to give massive props to the referee for this game, Ismail El Fat. I think, when you are refing such a huge and physical game like this, it can be very easy to either not call anything or to just start dishing out yellow cards, get a red card, make the game about yourself. And I think he did an incredible job of not doing that. He really had the right balance of, you know, maybe let them be a little bit physical, but he was seemed to be pretty impartial in calling fouls when they were needed. So props to him. Um, Earlier, I had said I was initially impressed by the way that Thomas Tuchel had come into this game, but when you look at how this game ended, I cannot help but say that this was an absolute disaster class from Thomas Tuchel. What are you doing? England looked pretty considerably the better side of these two for the 55 minutes leading up to that Anthony Gordon goal. Very good finish, by the way. But after that, how can you let your team sit and defend this Argentina side for 35 minutes plus stoppage time? It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you just cannot do it. And we saw today, as I think a lot of us were expecting to see, with that Argentina barrage of attacks, an amazing comeback. Um, Now, I don't think that Lionel Scaloni did anything particularly impressive after the English goal to tell the team do this, do that. I think he made the expected substitutions and really said, we're gonna let the best player in the world, Lionel Messi, the best player of all time. You can have your opinions, but he is the best player of all time. Um, win this game for us, and he did that. And I really think that if you are an English fan, you have to look at this game and be furious because it just started out so well. Thomas Tuchel finally benched Madueke. I was laughing, telling myself, watching that goal, that if Madueke was in there, he probably would have dribbled to the byline and went straight out of bounds. Um, but um, you know, Morgan Rogers does a good job getting that, makes a good cross. The ball started there with Harry Kane bringing it up to him. You see, that's the complete English attack that you really love to see if you are an English fan. Um, but after that, to just sit back and let your team um, get berated in such a way that they did is just something that cannot happen. When I think of who the real difference makers in this game uh, was in the first half, really maybe 2/3 of this game. I think Jed Spence and Reece James were an amazing fullback pair. Jed Spence, I was particularly impressed with, that sliding tackle after the English goal. Um, in that time, looking at that was one of the best, and including the moment, one of the best tackles I'd seen. Now, obviously, you see for that Argentinian winning goal, he appears to be a little injured and lets Messi get the space to deliver off that fantastic cross for that winning goal. But when I look at this Argentinian side, um, I just think their midfield, even though the English midfield, did a better job of, keeping themselves physical but composed in the first half, the Argentinian midfield really, after that English game, took absolute control. And yes, this is something we expect. You see a team go 1-0 up. Um, Almost always, especially when two teams are similarly competitive, like you would expect in this sort of game, you always see the losing team going and pushing and pushing, but it's not something that's always immediately easy to do. Oftentimes, I think you see teams maybe they concede one in like the 50th minute, like they did, and the game sort of stays more even for the next 10 or 20 minutes before the losing team is able to sort of get some momentum on their side and start pushing for an equalizing goal. But this, Argentinian midfield with, McAllister, Fernandez, Paredes, really were able to just immediately take control. And I think, you can attribute that probably to the Argentinian passion that really seems pretty much better than everyone else's at this World Cup. Um, they haven't really been behind for too long. Usually you see once they get back, they have the mentality to just immediately start pushing uh like they know, like they deserve, they're going to score a goal right back. And so I was very impressed with the way that they were able to, just immediately after that English goal, take control and sort of start these Argentinian attacks, the siege of the English defense. Overall, I think there's not too much more to go over or applaud. The goals themselves were, I think, high quality moments from high quality players. It was a great finish from Enzo Fernandez. Jordan Pickford had a very good game, but nothing he can really do about that shot. And with the second one, of course, just Messi puts it on an absolute plate. What a ball! And you see that a lot. You sort of have to almost expect that from Messi in these big games, in these moments like this. That's sort of what makes him the best player in the world at the moment. And so looking forwards, Argentina versus Spain, Barcelona fans' dream World Cup match. I'll definitely be doing some research into that, seeing what I think, and so we'll have to get there over the next couple of days as for what we think for that. But that will definitely be a very exciting final. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts. Appreciate you for watching. Leave a like if you are still here at this moment, and consider subscribing as well. See you in the coming game.